previously on Unranked.
Well, I want to talk about a game I played this week that I gotta say was some of the most fun I've had all week. Tom and I played Walkabout Mini Golf.
It's really good, and it was that thing of like, if we did get Tuna to play this, he'd feel compelled to invest.
How much is this
His mouth.
PSVR?
It's not like, oh, ice ball. It's just regular ass mini golf, but you're playing in VR, and it feels like you're there. Like the vibes, the ambiance is so nice that we're just like walking around in it.
Yeah, but like kind of, it felt like it was at Disneyland. It felt like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride because it was a pirate island.
But we've been playing Walkabout Mini Golf, which I am obsessed with. I'm itching to play, man. Like I want to play mini golf so bad.
I see him in OBS. Hello.
Hey! Hello and welcome to the 400th episode of the Unranked podcast.
Good to be here.
Yep.
Yeah, good to be here.
I'm Christian
Good
Humes.
to be here virtually.
I believe I'm on my mark. We have Alex Tuna Martell.
Hello.
And the GreatBriTom himself, Tom Caswell.
Chris, you hit your mark perfectly. Like, I couldn't have asked you to hit it better.
Fantastic.
In the virtual world, that's crazy. That's crazy. We've got Noah Reno in the chat. He's with us here on the 400th episode. Thank you for joining us, Noah.
Can you believe it?
So here we are in a game, if you listen to this podcast, that you've heard about quite a bit, Walkabout Mini Golf, my personal game of the year.
My game of the year as well. Tom?
I've had a lot of fun.
Boo, this man. Boo.
It's just plugging balls at me. I don't even know how to do that. It can't be my game of the year. I don't know how to do that.
Well, there's your first problem. Your first problem.
So this is our 400th episode. Season 4. We have a normal episode in store.
What series is it?
Yeah.
Series 4,
show 4.
We're going to have, you're going to check out the recorded episode on YouTube for the previously on Unranked. That'll go along with this because I had no way to pipe that into the virtual world.
No, not yet.
Here we are. So we're going to try this out, guys. It is the 400th episode, which means it's time for the 400th Pokemon. Can you tell me who's that Pokemon?
Tom?
Did you do the research that you were asked to do, TuneTaygaryen, or?
I did, but I did only the name origin. I didn't actually look at what the name of the Pokemon was.
You didn't read the name?
No, I know what the name origin is, but I don't know what the name of the Pokemon is.
Never say.
Wait a second. How do you know what?
Because I
how do you know
memorized
what the origin is? Which should tell you what the parts of the names are.
Yeah, but I won't be able to know because the Pokemon names are weird. So
okay, well wait. Let's see if you can reverse engineer the name of this Pokemon.
Yeah.
Tell me what the name origin is.
Bibarel?
Very close.
Pokemon Bibarel?
Very close.
Bibarel? So the name origin, this Pokemon that I don't know the name of, it may be a combination of beaver and barrel. See, that's what I memorized, but I didn't. But I didn't I didn't actually look at because I figured you were going to say the name of the Pokemon.
Well, because I figured you would know what the name of the Pokemon is. Typically,
no, we don't know. Reno, we need your help.
You thought wrong, dude.
This is like, I mean, it's incredible for you to know what the origin of the name is, but not know what the name is. Okay, so it's
Noah, we need you to look up and tell us.
Bibarel. Bibarel. Tom didn't know either, so why are you on my case?
Yeah, but you were asked to find out the name origin, and you did.
Yeah,
and
the name origin.
It's funny you know the parts that go into making the name, but you don't know what the name is.
No, what's amazing is that you guys are like, oh, Tuna doesn't know the name of the Pokemon. Like, I don't think that there's ever been a case where I've ever said the name of the Pokemon on the... He's throwing balls in my face.
I mean, you deserve it. It's
But
Bibarel,
I've never been asked.
otherwise
It's
known-
never. I've never been
Oh.
asked on the podcast. Be like, oh, Tuna, what's the name of the Pokemon? That's never happened.
So Noah Reno says Bibarel, otherwise known as Bibarel. Where does the Bibarel come from? Is that the Japanese? Oh, he's being sarcastic. Never mind.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So-
if it isn't clear, definitely go watch the video version at youtube.com/Unranked podcast. This is not the audio.
Wait, I'm gonna call you out.
one.
I'm gonna call somebody out here because when I jumped in here, you guys were like, "Oh, don't move from your mark that much." Tom's not moving. This fucker is moving around a lot. I don't know if you've noticed.
Well, because I'm noticing that there was originally a gap here between us for our guest that we're going to have on in
all right, well, I'll
about
move
45
over.
minutes. And there
I can
isn't.
move over.
Well, no, but you didn't move and I did, so I'm trying to adjust for the gap
The spacing
just
that I'm
move over.
seeing is pretty good.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
but I'll move over. But this motherfucker's moving around a lot, though. Have you noticed?
Yeah, once he joins, Tuna can scoot this way. a
I'll
bit.
scoot.
You can go that.
It's not like we're not in
ADD.
VR.
That's what I do.
This guy, he's got ADD. Totally has ADD.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
just
it's
hit my
unbelievable.
own headset. I hit my headset. With
Oh
my
no!
controller.
Oh, please
So,
don't
Tom-
shock your ears.
So Tom, I have invested quite a bit of coin
Whoa!
now because I have. Okay, because look at this. He can't even fucking focus. I bought the club. I got the club, right? Which
Right.
is fucking incredible, right?
It's
It's
amazing.
amazing. It's amazing. You really feel like you're holding a club, and I feel like I'm holding a sword almost. Also, I got the globular cluster for the PSVR 2 headset that makes this so much more comfortable as a headset than.
Yeah.
Why is this allowed? Why is this allowed?
Look,
You told me not to. You told me not to fucking move. You told me don't move, Tuna, because the camera's right there, and you're not allowed to move. And this guy is just taking it upon himself to just move around all willy nilly.
If you want to move a little bit in this,
No, I don't
area,
want to now. No, I don't
Okay.
feel like it now. I don't feel like it. This guy's coming over my shoulder. The camera's dead on me. I'm the focus.
Oh my god! Oh my god! This is exactly.
It's all about me.
Exactly how I thought
It's
it
all
would.
about me. It's all about
If
me.
you learned one thing after 400 episodes, it's all about me. This is incredible. I'm so glad we're here. So we've got Bibarel.
Do we have him?
What you guys? Well, he's.
Well, actually, hold on.
This
Chris,
Pokemon.
did you wait? Hold on a second. Did you do any Pokedex entry research?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
You're not even
Alright,
looking
well-
at the camera. You're looking off into the distance.
Because I was putting my can down. I had a can in the other hand.
This is ridiculous.
What? What? I got a straw. I got a straw.
This is ridiculous. There are fucking rules, and he's like not following. He's just making noises. I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm usually not.
To me
I'm usually not like this.
sister.
That's
Oh
fair.
my
Well, because
God.
he's supposed he laid down rules, and you're supposed to be following rules. Your hand looks stupid. Get your hand in order. God damn. You look like an idiot. Get your shit together. God.
Noah Reno.
Man. All right,
calls
what
this
game
the
do you
best
want?
episode.
You want Diamond,
What?
Pearl, Platinum? Which one do you want for the Pokedex?
I love it. I
How
love the
about you reading
unprepared.
it?
Yeah,
How's he reading it?
he's who knows. Just go
Which one
ahead.
you want?
Give me
Diamond.
the diamond. Ooh.
Shine
All right.
bright like a
Pokemon
diamond.
It
Yeah.
makes its nest by damming streams with bark and mud. It is known
Yeah.
as an industrious worker.
Let me
I'm
tell you
looking
something.
through the very small crack between
Yeah.
the
The
goggles.
way that I know, the way that you started reading that, it sounded like you were reading like a message from the Jumanji game. The way you started reading
Yeah,
that.
it did. Oh my god. This
It
is
has 8
great.
legs. It will be fast. You better get out of here before it lasts.
Yeah,
Before-
I think that
it's
might
your
be right.
No,
I think
it's
that
definitely-
might be a game
No,
for
it's not
those who
Seek
need
to find a way to leave the world
their
behind. Yep.
Do not start unless you intend to finish.
Defend to finish. Doubles get another turn. Don't forget that.
Don't forget it.
He's hitting a golf ball around.
We're in a mini golf game. What do you?
I
think
know,
is
but
gonna happen?
you said there were strict rules when I joined this.
I don't remember. I don't
I
remember
didn't say there was
saying
the
Tom,
rules.
Tom made strict rules.
I
Oh,
didn't say strict.
well.
I just said this is the space, and this should roughly be where you are. If you can return to here and not leave this crescent, fly around as much as you want. You've also got vertically. You've also got to the top where the leaves of the trees are. So that's
That's
how much.
actually a much wider shot than I would have
It's
anticipated.
a huge shot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe we'll
it's
have
quite
to
a wide field of view because it's a VR headset and not
So
like
we'll put
a
the
real
guest.
camera.
We'll put the guest over our
Now,
heads.
what's interesting here,
Yeah, it'll
Alex,
just go
is
above us.
if
Yeah.
you want to talk about the rules that Tom put down, before we started, Tom kept saying, you need to look at the mark. Look at the rock the whole time because it's not interesting
that's not what I
if we're not
said.
facing the camera. And
Yeah.
but now he's looking at us while he's talking.
I am not. What I meant was not turn face straight,
Oh, there's the
side
camera
face.
guy.
There we go.
just
Yeah,
popped up.
because I knocked the tripod trying to demonstrate my point. But everything's looking good. This is great. The fact
so
that I can
wait.
see OBS is great.
You've
Yeah.
got the second headset. So you're playing in an Oculus, and you've got
Correct.
the PlayStation is the camera. You have that on a
Mhm.
tripod?
I actually do have it on a tripod. Yeah, it was the easiest way to make quick fixes. And then I have, people can't see this, but I have OBS, which is recording this episode, piping through, so I can see the camera view, and I can see that we're still recording. It's still streaming. I can see Noah in the chat. It's great.
Yeah.
That is sick.
Cool.
So,
That is
so
very
to
sick.
celebrate Unranked 400, what you guys go to this past week?
So it was Halloween,
It was.
and we
yeah.
took my daughter out for a little trick or treating down the block. She was Elmo. It was a good time. She knocked on a couple doors, got a couple treats. Doesn't really know what candy is. Just handed me the candy instead.
You guys
'cause
fixed
we've
the
never-
Elmo costume?
We've never given her what?
You fixed the Elmo costume? Wasn't there technical
Yeah, there was
difficulties?
she ended up wearing it because it was cold outside, so she was like, I'll wear it. So she did wear it, and we had a good time. It was a good time. I don't think anything else really went on this week. I don't really have a lot to report
Wow.
on.
Wow.
Chris, Tom, anybody?
Therese was sick, so we canceled our plans and didn't do anything.
Oh, beautiful. This is great for episode 400.
I'll
We
say
had,
this.
yeah.
We started Loki.
Mm.
What an immense show. I forgot how great that first season was. I already think the first, we only watched the first 2 episodes. I already think it's better than the stuff
That's
in the
where
first
I'm
season.
at, too. Yeah.
It's, and the newest character,
Obi.
played by Kike Kwan, I believe is his name.
Kihei Kwan, yeah.
He played Short Round. Ouroboros is his name in the show.
Mhm.
He's so good. He's so funny on screen.
Yeah.
But I forgot that show had such Lost vibes, Severance vibes. It's also a little bit of horror in it.
It definitely also
great.
this season has more of confidence in its identity and knows what it is. So it really from a cinematographically, as a fan of cinema,
Yes.
it
As a fan of
really
film,
has
yes.
stepped up its style. It's not just it's nailing
The
it.
sets.
this
The
season
sets are
visually.
unbelievable. I could just watch them run around in the TVA and just be entertained.
Yeah, which is basically what the first 2 episodes is them just running. It was like West Wing.
But
Yeah, no, it's good.
every scene to scene, I'm I almost want to pause it so I can look at it. You know?
Yeah.
Walkabout Mini Golf, TVA level. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, Marvel
So here's my
crossover.
question. As someone who hasn't been keeping up with all things Marvel, is Loki season 2 good to watch if you're not super
If you
into
watch the
Marvel
first
anymore?
season, yeah. If you
Okay.
watch the first, it's very much it's more picking up off the threads of the show versus any.
It's
threads
just a
between-
direct sequel. It picks up right where the first season left off.
Okay. Yeah, because you know what? I know the Marvel's movie is coming out soon. I'm not too jazzed. I don't really. I mean, I'll probably see it eventually, but I'm not
Yeah.
I just feel like a lot of the.
It's tracking
luster.
to do very poorly at the box office.
Well, that's
Yeah.
partially because
Yeah.
of the whole they've done zero marketing
SAG-AFTRA
because of
and
the
stuff,
strike.
yeah.
They anticipated the strike wouldn't actually go this long. They bet.
Yeah.
They basically played their hand. They were like, "We're gonna bet the strike will be over and we'll be able to market, and all the other movies that got delayed will be out of our way and we'll be able to own the box office." And instead, they fucked themselves.
Here they are.
Well,
Yeah.
there it
well
is.
done, Bob.
Alex.
We had a Halloween brunch on Sunday.
Oh, very nice.
it was that's what I hit you up last minute. Was like, you're busy Sunday, right? And you're like, yep. I was like, great. Now I don't have to feel bad about.
Right.
Late
No, it was
invite.
good. It was good. Chris isn't even listening to you. He's throwing balls.
I'm listening. I'm doing
listening.
the thing Tom
He's
said.
listening.
I'm trying to look at the camera.
Tom, if I make fun, if I call him, you're not supposed to call me out for calling him out, Tom.
So we
Go
have
ahead,
Halloween
keep
brunch.
going. Wait, how are you going to do
And-
news? I just thought. How are you going to do news?
We're just gonna do everything. Everything today is just going off the dome.
Okay,
Off the
go ahead,
dome,
Tom.
baby.
So you had the
Off the
brunch.
dome.
Yeah, the brunch.
Had the brunch. We
What did you
were breakfast burrito bar. So you could make your own. So, like,
oh,
Yeah, they were
the
really
Hotel
good. Too.
Kaz.
Yeah, and pancakes, orange and purple pancakes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Did you make big? Are we talking big pancakes? If you could make some large pancakes, did anyone do a breakfast burrito with the pancake as the wrapper for the burrito?
Wow, I don't know if anyone did. I don't think anyone did. Pancakes are rather small, like
Okay.
you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, so that wouldn't
like
work.
yeah.
You could do
I should
breakfast
make
pancake
crepes.
tacos.
Oh, yeah. Damn. Oh fuck. I really wish
Tom's
I
like,
thought of that, 'cause
I
would've
gotta
done
go,
it.
guys. This was great. I gotta go make
Yeah,
some
yep.
pancakes.
Well, I'll see you in Pancake Burrito VR for episode 401. Noah Reno is actually going to be our little associate producer here. Noah, thanks so much. He's actually going to drop news stories in the chat for us. So
Oh, sick.
doesn't
there
have
you
to be super off the dome. But that
Great.
night, very drunkenly, because I just kept drinking during the brunch and then kept drinking after, beat Spider-Man 2.
Oh shit.
Yes,
And-
that's right, because we were playing mini
texting.
golf, and you were not, and you were texting
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, incessantly. Was texting Chris, and I was very drunk, and I was ugly crying during like last.
Oh my God! Come on.
Yeah, bud. Yeah,
What?
big time.
I mean,
So I know that I said that I was going to start it. I ended up not starting it. At
Surprise,
all?
surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. What I ended up doing was I beat Mario Wonder.
great.
Fantastic game. Really, really good. And now, of course, I'm going back and getting all the things I missed.
Got a $100
And then doing the
100 beer.
special world, and then I will probably start Spider-Man because ugly crying. I mean, how do I pass?
I have a
How do I
question for you.
pass that? Who?
You.
Okay.
Oh, spontaneous.
Did you buy it?
Spider-Man?
Yeah.
No, because I'm not confident that I'm going to play it. So
Don't.
it's why?
You need to play this year's second best game of the year, which is not Spider-Man. It is Alan Wake 2.
Do you agree?
I haven't. I don't think I'm as close into it as Chris is. I am.
When have you been
I
playing
think-
it? Because you've
yeah.
been playing mini golf with me. So what the hell's been going on?
Well, Teresa's sick throughout the weekend, and so I played a lot of video games. Yeah. She was just sleeping, so I was just sitting in front of the TV.
I'm very early into it. There are things, and I also was playing it on my Halloween stream, and so I think I don't have as clear a picture of how I feel about it. There's a lot I love about it. It's
you
not
haven't-
near the top of my game of the year yet.
You've basically
just-
only gotten through the very first part of that game. You haven't even
Yeah.
gotten up to the Alan Wake stuff yet.
Well, I'm
What is
in
the
the Alan
story?
Wake stuff now.
What's
At
the
the very
story
beginning, though.
of Mr. Wake? What's the story of Mr. Wake?
Very
so this game,
simply in
Alex,
the.
is like playing American Horror. It's like playing True Detective. It's like playing Stranger Things. It is like all of those things. It's the best. I think this is the best cinematic experience I've ever had with a
Jesus
video game.
Christ.
The writing and the storytelling
What
is
is
so
happening?
good, and the visuals are blowing me
Yeah.
away in a way that there are times where I cannot tell, because it incorporates a lot of actual live action footage.
Live action,
and there are
yeah.
times where I cannot tell which thing I'm looking at. Like, is that a CG person or is that a live action, like, composited person? There are so many points in this game that it has blended things so well, and the visuals are so perplexing that I mean, honestly, this story is so good, Alex, that if it weren't for the difficulty, I think, of the game at times, you could probably play this and Brittany would want to watch it because the story is that good.
I've been trying to convince Brooke to like.
This
watch
guy's
it,
ugly, crying. You're having like an amazing time playing a game.
The fans
that's
of
using
cinema.
CG. Yeah, what is happening?
There
Okay.
are moments in this game
And I was
that
thinking I
it
would
is
just play
it's a
Cocoon.
TV show. It's just a TV like you're playing a TV show, and I'm
Right.
playing what I think is like the best TV show I've watched all year. Like if this had just
Okay.
been a
Did you
TV
play
show, not a
Control?
video game, we'd be
I
like
did not play
screaming about how
Control.
good this is.
Chris played
So-
Control.
Oh, great game.
Control is fantastic, and so this is also Remedy, the developer, is doing something called what they're calling the Remedy Connected Universe. So that games all take place in the same. So it's like an MCU thing. So like the Federal Bureau of Control that had an Alan Wake DLC chapter, like they are an element to this game as well. So they're like interconnected. You don't necessarily need to play it, but like definitely like seeing things about the Control games is very cool. So the story,
it's
though,
not
Tuna,
necessary though. It's
No.
like it's kind of like I know what that thing is, but it's totally unnecessary for you to have played the other game.
story of the first game, to wet your whistle, is simply this guy Alan Wake. He's a writer. He writes crime fiction novels, and he has writer's block and goes to this town called Bright Falls in Washington State, like in the remote wilderness. Basically, his wife gets trapped in an alternate dimension. And there's like this evil. There's like this. It's like a
The
horror
Upside
game.
Down.
Right? Yeah, it's basically the Upside Down. And
like 5 years before Stranger Things, but it's
Yeah.
basically the Upside Down.
and Alan basically, in order to save her, sacrifices himself by switching places with her. But he's been stuck in the dark place. And he uses his he realizes he can use his writing to manipulate this realm. So he's basically trying to write his way out of the. Yeah, he went somewhere. I don't know. I think.
Well, no, here's the thing.
Oh,
I don't
God,
traditionally
he's
love
crying.
spooky games, but right now I'm in a spooky mood with this game.
He's in a spooky mood. How did you do that?
There
How
are
do
no
you-
rules. There are no rules anymore.
There are no rules.
Magic. Hey, Tom,
unfortunately.
Fuck it.
See my club? Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh! Hey, there it is.
That was pretty good. That was pretty
Da-
fucking
da-
good.
da- 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 da-
That was pretty
da-
fucking
da-
good.
da- 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 da.
Anyway, yes, that's the story.
It's too bad that the hand is not a bony hand.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Although it is
Your bone.
white now. It did
Stark
change
white.
to a white hand,
Yeah.
like a skull. But
Yeah.
being bony would be cool.
Yeah.
I don't traditionally like horror games at all, and I have to say this game is like psychological warfare when I'm playing it. I cannot play it for too long at a time. I do have to take breaks. They have finally. This is the first game that's really nailed the whole like video games as a TV show where there's chapters that make sense because
Yeah.
they use the chapters and the scenes to sort of change things up. There's so many moments in the game where I'm just like, I need to get to like a safe house so I can save because I cannot keep playing anymore. I need to stop playing this for a little bit. like,
Yeah,
like
Tuna, it'll do the
my heart
thing
rate's been up
when
for an hour.
when like a chapter when a chapter ends basically like there's an end credit and there's music and like a whole like end credits for the chapter. In the first game, it's more based on like a book now. The first game was more based on a TV show because they used to have previously ons in like the
No.
game. Yeah, seriously. Yeah,
Wow.
they don't do that here because it's meant to be more like his book. You're playing his book versus like watching a season of TV. But yeah, it's
Right.
got live action elements. I will say the one thing about the live action elements, Chris, that like is like a little disappointing is I don't know if you know this or have noticed it, but the actor portraying Alan Wake and the voice is different. And to me, it's like very obvious that all of his lines are dubbed in, and it like
I think,
takes
Tom,
it down
that-
a little bit.
I think most people would not know that if they didn't
Yeah.
know that.
I
And I think
that
that
that's
you have
probably
convinced
true.
yourself you notice it more than you do.
I definitely notice it. It's the
I
voice
don't
though
think it's
is
jarring. I wouldn't
the,
say it's jarring at all.
the voice actor is Casper Darling from Control, the voice of Alan Wake.
Ah.
Yeah.
So
Great character.
the live action stuff is incredible. I just played it. So one of the things that's crazy about this game is when you're playing as Saga, who's a detective, versus when you're playing as Alan. And at a certain point in the game, after you finish like Alan's introductory chapters, you can then switch between them, which is probably, I think, about 25 to 30% of the way through the game. They're very different. So they both have a sort of like menu area that you go into.
Yes.
That
You'll
you
love this,
couldn't
Tuna.
do before current consoles with the new memory speeds, where it's instant. Like, this blows me away the same way Spider-Man's fast travel did, where you press a button and you're just like out of where you were, and now you're in this other space. And with Saga, you're in like very much like what everyone dreams of doing, like role-playing as a detective. You have your fucking cork board where you're doing like putting photos up, and you're putting the evidence together, and you have all these different files and folders for the different cases. But then you also have like a table where you're profiling people. You have your map wall, so you can like walk around this 3D space. They call it her mind place, like a mind palace. But then when you're playing as Alan Wake, it's different. You're in the writer's room. And while they have similar concepts, what they do mechanically in the game is very different. So their gameplay feels very different, because with Alan, all of his games so far for me has taken place in the dark place, in the Upside Down, whereas hers is taking place in the real world. So you have these kind of dual stories going, and they're very different. I've been switching between them now, chapter to chapter, because I do one for a little while, and I'm like, I need a break from this area. Like, I need a break from what I'm doing. Like, I am overwhelmed by this. I gotta go see some other part of the story. Like, Saga does this one thing that, like, so I'm like walking through these spooky ass woods. Some shit's gonna jump out. You know you're gonna get some hatchet man or wolf or something that's gonna jump out at you, and it's gonna be terrifying. And I'm just trying to stay cool while I'm playing this game, trying not to get too nervous. And then she's doing this.
Yeah, the heavy,
Yeah, she's heavy breathing, like she's trying to calm herself down, which is just making me more nervous.
Because like the rest of the sound is like disappearing too. Like, it definitely like sets you up for those. But with the mind place and stuff, Tuna, the cool thing is that there are like hidden collectibles in the game, so there is stuff to like find and discover. But in the mind place, like those are their own cork boards. So like imagine the red line board, like you're putting up the photo of the collectible, adding it to the thing. So it is like this interactive menu, and it's great too, because like the story is very overwhelming, right? Because there's two parallel stories and all this. When you get a new piece of evidence and add it to the board and like complete a track, Saga will kind of narrate like, okay, so this is connected to this, and this person did this. So you kind of get like a very quick overview of what you've just done and like where the story is. So it does a really good job of like immersing you in that. And yeah, there's tons of stuff in the Mind Palace too, to like, it's not just the case board. There's a ton of like interactive things that would usually just be like menu options, like, oh, watch these cutscenes. But instead, if you want to watch an old cutscene, but instead you can do that by going to the TV in her mind place and like watching those things and stuff. That's very cool.
That's pretty all right. I mean, this is classic. You guys sell me on a game, but now I feel like I'm 3 games behind.
I mean, I gotta say, Spider-Man as a video game is such a joy. Alan Wake 2 is doing. I've never played a game like this. I've never had this experience in a video game, and I think that's why it allows me to overcome the whole like, I don't play horror games, and I'm playing this because I don't feel like I'm playing a horror game. I feel like I'm watching the best TV show of the year. Like, I feel like I'm playing the best TV show of the year is what I feel like I'm doing. So. And I honestly, I will not be shocked if in less than a year from now we hear that this game is being made into a show for HBO. Like, it feels like that's what's going to happen very soon.
That would be, and then like in the show version, it alludes to the game. Yeah. But like it is like it is like another layer of the meta narrative.
Yep. God, because, Tom, the Alan Wake stuff. The Alan Wake stuff, like, because his has a lot of the overlays between the like the actual footage and the video game, and it really blends it. Tom, when you get up to, I think it's like the 3rd or 4th chapter of his called Sing, it is going to blow you away.
I'm
These
very excited to play more.
horror tropes where, like, have you ever seen horror things where they get, like, weird, where it almost seems silly, but it's so insane that it freaks you out? That's sort of what that was. The last thing I want to tell you about it is, in the writer's room with Alan Wake, the really cool thing he does is, you might, like, hit walls in the game, right? You get to and you'll get to different areas, and they'll be called scenes. And so he'll be like, I need a different way through this. And so you'll pick a different narrative for this scene, and it will literally change the world around you. So now you have a different way through the story. It's so fucking cool.
Jeez.
So one of the really cool things about the game is, like, the first one came out in 2010, and Remedy for the longest time was trying to make a sequel, but they couldn't get the funding for it, and they actually went to Microsoft and pitched it. And they were like, we want to work with you, but we want you to make a brand new game. So they made Quantum Break. If you remember that, did you guys play that one?
No, I never played Quantum Break.
No, I never did. I heard it was cool, but I heard, like, everything about that game was it would have made a better TV show than a game.
Yeah, well, that had, like, and they were trying to push, like, the live action in that because they were trying to, like, make TV shows then, right? Because it was like that weird beginning of Xbox One era where they were all about, like, Steven Spielberg's going to make a Halo show, and there's going to be a Titanfall TV show and stuff.
And then it came 10 years later, and it wasn't good.
Yeah, exactly.
Every now and then I remember that we got a Halo show, which tells you, like, man, what a disappointment that I forget that it even,
is
like,
a
happened
forgettable
all the time.
thing, for sure.
It's a very forgettable show.
So
At
they
least it
tried
wasn't
to make...
so bad that, like, we hated it. It was just, like, it was just whatever.
Yeah.
There's things to it that I liked, and anyway, we'll get to that. But basically, the right. Okay, there we go. I needed to wiggle the PSVR controller. So recently, and then they made Control, obviously, right, which was a big hit, which kind of allowed them to go to Epic and get the funding for this game. And Sam Lake, the director, who also is in the game in, like, a meta way, said, look, we've tried and failed to make Alan Wake so many times over the years, but I'm so glad we failed all of those times, because this is the version of the game, I wouldn't have it any other way, and it would not be the version it is now if we hadn't, like, failed, and if we hadn't, like, made all these other projects. And so I'm like, man, that's great, you know? 2,000 times you make a light bulb, it doesn't work, you've just learned how to not make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Same.
exciting.
I mean,
It's exciting.
definitely that analogy. Thanks,
Perfect.
Tom. Yeah. Perfect. Nothing better.
So it.
Whoa!
What just happened? We didn't see it.
Are you kidding me?
Is there a replay button on here? Oh, no, that wouldn't even work, would that?
It's not.
I just threw it into the hole.
He threw it into the hole.
I mean, the hole is not in the view of the camera.
No, but I'm recording from this headset. That shot's getting cut in.
We're splicing that in. We're splicing in the other.
I mean,
angle.
that was one of the best things I've ever seen. I mean, that was incredible.
Better than Alan Wake 2.
Better than
Get ready,
Alan Wake
Alex,
2,
get ready for
baby.
horse. It's just going to be throwing the ball.
I mean, game of the year. Fuck it. Right? I mean,
I'm
That's so
telling you,
fun.
man. So, Tom, last week we did talk about, like, very briefly, like, some people are saying this is the greatest year in video games.
right.
Or it's up there. And I'm really starting to believe that, because Spider-Man and Alan Wake are both video games, and Walkabout Mini Golf. These are three video games that never could have existed before. These are three games that, like, these are three of the best video games I've ever played.
Yeah.
And then
So
there's still Tears of the Kingdom. You
Oh,
know,
see-
like, there's still all these other games that came out this year.
There are?
Like, it's a ridiculous stuff.
Yeah. So
You
what else?
still don't even have another game for this. You've basically bought a $600. You have a
Yes.
$600.
No, I got $100 back
machine.
from I got $100 back from Quest 1.
Yeah. Okay.
So
But then you
$500.
bought a club and a
Yeah.
headset attachment.
Yeah.
You're in deep.
Yeah, but let's
What
just
was
talk
the
about this
attachment
then.
you got?
A
Yeah.
globular cluster, like, makes it so much more comfortable, this PSVR headset.
That's
Like,
the
so
one that I
much
had,
more.
Tom.
It's so much more comfortable.
Does it go over the len? Like, what's
You replace the actual padding on the front and the back pad, and the back pad one goes from being a like 1 inch, inch and a half thick band, which is what it currently is, to being like a 7-inch circular pad. So it's huge.
It's not
it, like,
sitting
completely covers,
and it's not sitting at the base of your neck anymore, and like doing like squeezing it there.
Globular. I gotta say, putting this Quest 1 on is so uncomfortable. It is so uncomfortable compared to the PSVR 2. And funnily, because I booted it up, I put it on to like test everything out yesterday, and I was like, you know what? Like the quality on this, like the visual quality is like pretty good. Like it's not as bad as I thought it would be. And then I had, because I was switching between the PSVR 2 and this, put the PSVR 2 on, I was like, oh my god, it is a ridiculous step up. Holy cow.
I mean, it's like you have the resolution, you have the better effects,
ahead,
and you've got the OLED. And the higher frame rate. Like, it's...
The big thing I noticed was actually the field of view. You have way more, like, the goggle effect is, like, massively reduced on that headset. Yes, like, I'm seeing
even the Quest 3 is still less than the PSVR 2.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, PSVR 2 is about 120. Quest 3, I think, is at about 100. It's almost... I read it's, like, almost 100, whereas, like, the Quest 2 is, like, 94 or something. Like, it seems like the Oculus one is still quite low, which I'm surprised about.
I mean, you're making fun of me for spending all this money on this, but
I'm not making funny.
I've played this...
I'm not making funny.
I've played this pretty much every day now.
Yeah.
Chris and I tee off at lunchtime almost every day.
I mean, honestly, Alex, I didn't bring that up because I feel like we got to tell Lucas when he shows up.
Yeah.
So I do have to say, there's a part of me that's a little nervous about this whole thing because I communicated with the Walkabout Mini Golf.
Can you guys see the time? Because I have the time. Do you guys can see
it?
it?
We all have the time.
You just look at. You look at your wrist.
You look at your wrist.
I have to have a weird view to watch OBS, so I'm not actually like in the game. If that makes sense.
You're not in the game.
You're not here? It's kind of like an overlay thing. So as you can see, my club has not moved at all.
Right.
So it's like separated from like I'm.
Look, we're all like Tom now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might as well
that's
do this.
how it is. So I can't do this, but I can see the time in the overlay that I have.
Yeah. So you know how I mean, we'll bring it up again when he gets here, but you know how like the fuck. So you know how like people in the old days or recent days will take like an afternoon off and like get a tea time and play some golf and skip out of work.
Yeah.
So like now I don't have to leave my house, get dressed or anything. I just say, hey, tea time with Chris, little mini golf.
You think this will be in the Olympic?
We sync up our lunch. We sync up our like lunch breaks, and we play 2 rounds of golf. Pretty much 3-4 days a week, like during the weekday.
Yep.
You think this gets added to when they do esports at the Olympics?
It should.
Walkabout golf?
Oh, it should. If real golf is in there, mini golf should be in there. Mini golf would be way more fun to watch. You know the way that like you can watch like pro spike ball and it's like way more intense than any spike ball you've ever played?
Sure.
So if they did real Olympic mini golf, not virtual, real mini golf, I bet you that shit would be incredible.
There's a professional form of mini golf. Every single thing about the course is like precision made. Mm-hmm. So like there's like to be qualified as like that style course, like certain things about the quality of the course, the walls, things like that are precision made. They don't have like weird wacky holes. You know, they're all like angle based. You know, like very much kind of like the style of the first couple holes.
So there's no windmills
in this game. No windmills. No
windmills.
I mean, even this game doesn't even have that. You know, but those like flat real mini golf courses are kind of they wouldn't be as interesting as this is. You know,
right.
But yeah,
anyway,
we're very anxiously and nervously awaiting. Hopefully soon, we should be having the creator of the game showing up. But the way I communicated with them was, through email, and they were like, okay, he's going to come, and I gave them the room he's going to join. But since I didn't communicate with him directly, and it was like, okay, this time, on this day, in this room. So, like, I'm just, like, waiting, like, I really hope he's showing up.
I was gonna say like he knows we're not gonna be able to like he's just gonna have to show up and figure it out.
Well, when he shows up, I'll bring him over.
No,
I'll bring him over. We can just wave to him. He's gonna be over there.
Do we have a green room set up for him? Do we have a?
Do you have a green room set up? What the fuck?
What kind of?
I didn't get a list of like riders, like things that he needs.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, we should ask him what would be on his list. That's a good question.
Yeah, that's
M&Ms.
M&Ms.
What color M&Ms do you need?
What color M&Ms? What temperature water?
One of those things that like C-suite executives have, like the.
So here's an interesting one.
The
Lil Wayne.
This guy's talking. What the fuck?
No one wants to about Lil Wayne.
He just
Very
completely
relevant.
just interrupted everything you were saying. Not paying attention at all.
Well, you're
All right, fine.
making
Tom,
it
tell
work
us
now.
tell us what the C-suite executives need.
I can't believe I'm getting flack for this. Tuna was the one, but they have what they need. But they have the thing. They have the hole that they the fake golf hole that they like instead of doing any work. You know.
Oh, the personal putt. Yeah. The personal
Probably
putting
would want
greens.
one of those, but we'll find out when he gets there.
The personal putting greens are pretty cool. Like where you hit it in and it like shoots the ball back to you, so you can just keep hitting it endlessly.
Before our interviewee gets here, we do have a little news. Marino supplied. Thank you, Noah.
Oh.
Very quickly, Xbox is removing the ability to use third-party controllers. So yeah, this is Xbox announced that they have to be
third-party controllers.
Yeah, it has to be a part of the Xbox approved program in order to work with an Xbox. The problem is this is seemingly going to retroactively affect a lot of peripherals that people have already purchased, and there's some concern with specifically peripherals for like accessibility. If you've got the Xbox accessibility controller, like you'll be fine, obviously, but like there's a lot of people who need that stuff that don't have that necessarily. So there's been a lot of hubbub about it, but they're trying to kind of like, well, there's multiple business reasons. A, it makes them more money to have this things have to be a part of this program, but also like cheating and stuff like that in competitive games. Like it's meant to crack down on that.
Don't they now own one of like the major esports companies after they bought Activision?
I mean, they own Overwatch,
one?
And the Overwatch League. I don't know how the Overwatch League works with.
Well, that's run by Blizzard.
It's a separate entity. It is Blizzard. Okay, so then they have that. Yeah, I don't know.
It's only gonna affect like if you have a name brand like Razer or Scuff, like you're fine.
Yeah.
It's these like random things that you get on Amazon or other things that are like you've never heard of this brand before. That's the stuff that's going to screw you, which I feel bad about because a lot of people that are buying that stuff are buying it because they can't afford other controllers, and it's kind of like it's just look what.
Also, if you're a kid and like your parents have bought you, like whatever controller, like the cheapest, like we need a second controller, like. Unless you're plugged in and understand like this is a thing, like it'll cause some complications. So we'll see how it goes. Well done.
Alex trying to throw this, but because you're using... See, I took my controller off the club for this.
I could tell, yeah.
But because you did it, I know how awkward... That's the one thing about the club is it's very awkward because your controller is at the bottom of the club. It's very awkward to do anything that requires the actual controller. So, yeah. Alex trying to do this. It's so funny.
No, we got another story, bud. Hit me with another story. What's the story?
Bungie had a lot of people that got fired.
They had layoffs, yes. No one's sharing, like, that's the only story. Yeah, but Bungie had layoffs. It feels, I don't know how to feel. I feel about talking about this in this current form. But yeah, they've had substantial layoffs.
Looks more like you than you look like you.
There we go. Thanks. I feel like that's a compliment.
What does that even mean?
I mean, we all very much look like ourselves, which is impressive considering how few options there are to make that happen. But yeah,
they've done a very good job.
But on the gaming side of it with Bungie, apparently Marathon, which was meant to come out last year, according to this report, is going to be coming out in 2025. they supposedly got Escape from Tarkov players to come check the game out because it was originally meant to be a battle royale when they first were cooking it up. Again, from the same report, but the battle royale turns out, and then these extraction shooters started popping up, so they pivoted to an extraction shooter, and supposedly they had some Escape from Tarkov players come check it out, and granted it was very in the middle of development, but one of the questions they asked the players was, if this game came out tomorrow, would you play it? And supposedly no one put their hand up, and it's getting supposedly again delayed to 2025, although we never had an official date on it, like no, not even a year. And then apparently the Final Shape DLC will be delayed till June, so it'll come out in February like it usually does.
Which actually is good for me because I have plenty to play and catch up on.
Yeah, there's a lot of
happens,
Destiny 2 for you to play.
Yeah, so I have a lot of stuff to do still anyway.
Yeah, it's such a shame.
The whole Marathon thing is wild to me because Marathon is a game that was really cool, and I liked the lore for it and had very cool weapons. And so when they were like, we're using the Marathon name, but then it was nothing like Marathon, it was kind of like, okay. But also, like, the thing Bungie is known for is their storytelling, their cinematic story. Like, they're really good at shooting and first person. Like, for it to just be this multiplayer game when, like, in my opinion, the PvP in Destiny is basically the part of it that I just do not care about and was never the draw. It was always the PvE. Like, it was just a weird decision for them to go
theoretically, if it's like other extraction shooters, it will be both. It'll be PvE, PvPvE, whatever. Like, it'll have.
Yeah, but I mean, like, campaign is really like where I think the strength of Bungie is.
Well, we'll have to wait and see for that one. Cool. All right. Noah's not got anything else. We got 2 minutes. Kind of. Anyone else got anything? Anyway, watch anything?
So the other night, we were gonna play, and Tom said, "Let us know when you're ready, Alex."
Noah,
that's not what happened.
Noah, sorry.
That's not
Noah
what
in
happened.
the chat is saying, hang on. Noah in the chat is saying, I've sent so many things. Noah, I only see Xboxes removing the ability to use third-party controllers. So resend me some stuff. Yeah.
Wait, but that's also
please
not
keep
what
going.
happened, Chris. No, so what happened was we were going to play the other night, and Tom said, I said I'll be able to play probably after dinner, and then he said, well, someone's coming here, but they're not going to stay for long, and I'll let you know when they're here or whatever.
That's not what I said. That's not what I
Tuna,
said.
is there like a Pinocchio nose up there that you can give your avatar?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's not what I said.
Well, you also just lied about what happened, so go ahead. What did you say?
I said, oh, never mind. Forget that.
Hey!
Hello, we're over here. Here he comes.
Oh, he looks very much like Tom.
Oh, no, all right.
Oh, yeah, we're basically the same person. I could go be the clam or something.
Tuna, if you can scoot more toward me, and then Lucas, if we can have you kind of facing the right in front of the yellow flag here.
Okay.
Oh wow, we really are twins.
Yeah,
and then face the rock by the base
if you
of
see the camera.
bridge. Yeah. Great.
What's up, man?
Hey there. Nice to
Welcome.
meet you all.
How are you?
Yeah. Good. How about you guys?
Excellent. And I love
Very
your game.
excited.
So I'm like starstruck, even though I can't really see you.
This
has been my favorite game for the last month and 2 months at least.
Yeah.
Like I've not
That's
stopped
awesome.
playing it.
Oh, yeah. Are you guys all playing on PlayStation?
Yep.
Yes, sort of. Tom's PlayStation right now is the camera, although it's invisible because he doesn't have it on, and he's in his Oculus so that he can capture this in the PlayStation.
Oh, okay,
So we're
cool.
using my
Gotcha.
PSVR as the camera right now, but when we play, I'm using that. So
Gotcha.
the voice, real quick, the voice that has joined us for people that are watching, and if you're listening, go watch. Lucas Martell is the creator of Walkabout Mini Golf, and he's here in Walkabout Mini Golf for episode 400 of the Unranked podcast. So, Lucas, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate
thanks for
it.
having me.
These guys probably
This
have
is-
a ton of questions, so I'm going to let them rip.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Well, so I mean, first of all, Alex and I, and this is in a year that people are saying is maybe the best year in video game history, or up there. This is our game of the year. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm playing Alan Wake right now. You know, we've played Zelda, Star Wars, Spider-Man, like all big games. But this is by far the best game I think I've played this year. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's pretty incredible what you've created.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I have to admit, I never expected mini golf to kind of be the thing, but it feels like that's what everyone else says too. So I'm kind of okay to be like that.
Dude,
that
it's the
game that
thing.
was like, no, trust me, like just try it. I know it's
the
mini
thing.
golf, but you'll get there. Yeah.
It's so good, man. I mean, Chris and I also bought the Hello Real Club.
Yep.
Attached
yeah,
to
I
all
got
our
it.
controllers, which is incredible, and it really feels like I'm holding the club. And it really,
Yeah.
like, when we are on these courses, like, it just, like, I'm hanging out with my bud. Like, you've created this space where I can just, like, hang out with my friend who lives in LA. I'm in New York. And we can just hang out for an hour every day on our lunch breaks, teeing off on some
we have tea
courses.
time.
And having a great time. So thank you for that. It's absolutely awesome.
It's sort of cliche because you're a lawyer, and we take our lunch
am.
breaks and
Yeah.
have tea time.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
No,
go ahead, Tom. No,
I was
go
going
ahead,
to
Tom.
ask you talk about like if you didn't think like mini golf would be the thing. I think the thing that we can all agree on is that it's not just about the mini golf. It's the worlds. It's the collectible balls. Like there's so many elements to it. As you were developing the game, like how much were you realizing like, oh, to like raise this above the bar, like we need to add this stuff, or was it from the jump you were like we need to have all this stuff?
So the history of this game, I'll just give you like the quick 30-second version, is that it was really sort of a pandemic project for me. So it was mostly a solo project, and when it launched, it only had the first 4 courses. We had the Lost Balls or something that was added, and there was not even a settings menu. And this is the original. This would have been 2020. It launched in September on Quest 1, like 2 weeks before the Quest 2 came out. So pretty much everything, like all the Fox Hunts, even all this Welcome Island, none of that existed. It was basically just 4 courses. It had multiplayer, but even multiplayer was a late add. That's something that that Oculus at the time was really pushing for, because there weren't a lot of people with headsets at the time, so they were pushing, no, you've got to do multiplayer, and I was like, fine, I'll do multiplayer, because I didn't know that the Quest 2 was coming, and had no idea that until you even got in. At that time, no one realized how VR socially, like how much of a difference that made, because you do kind of have to be in there with people to really get that sense of presence. So, some of it was from luck, but also there was a lot of, failed projects before that, and, spending, a long, long time getting other projects going, and some of them went and some of them didn't. So, yeah, you make 10, and then one of them is finally hits. So
the social aspect you talked about is like the inspiration for this episode, because so many times we play golf, and with the very little but very powerful kind of like movements of the face and everything, we're looking at each other and we're like, oh my god, it's like I'm looking at you, despite it being like a polygonal thing, and it's just the mouth opening, but it feels like your mannerisms are coming through, and like we're here because of that. So, like it's really cool. Really
it's amazing how much you even get just with the head motions, and I mean, the dirty trick is that we're not even, like, we have no way of tracking the mouth, so all it is basically just like volume sort of making the lip flaps up and down. But it's amazing how just you get enough from the head and just seeing where people are looking, that, I mean, we've even used, we'll sometimes open up a larger room and do our team meetings in here, just because you can get that, like, people can talk over each other, and it's not weird like it is on a Zoom call.
Yes,
Totally.
Yeah. Yes. There's the blinking also. It's automated, but at first, because we were just so enamored by everything, we were like, "Are they using the PlayStation eye tracking to know when we're blinking?" Because we were like, everything works so well, but that appears to just be automated, right?
It's just automated, but we so my background and a decent number of the team our background is in animation, And so there's a lot of different things that cause you to blink, like when you turn your head quickly. We did add a few of those things. So there's like certain things that mentally cause your eyes to blink. So we do kind of try to like add a little bit of that, so it's not purely random.
Okay, but you see, that attention to detail is what makes this game fucking awesome. Yep. And I think you could see it in the entire game itself. Like all the courses, every detail, all the stuff. It's so good. Like I kind of want to hang out in some of the courses. I wish I could. Like and just be like, these are really cool areas just to hang out in. So how did you design the holes yourself? Did you base them on any like mini golf courses you had seen, or you were just flying off the cuff when you designed the holes?
I mean, pretty much just flying off the cuff and just sort of like what's cool. I mean, I think that we definitely learned really early on that because we're not constrained, like we don't have the safety regulations. You know, you can have a ball flying at, you know, doing a 300-yard drive and not worrying about killing somebody. So there's a lot of that sort of stuff that we realize that we can go bigger. We don't have the space requirements of just like a physical install. So we definitely started pushing further. You know, like the first course is more classic mini golf, but as soon as we get past that first tourist trap course, it's getting into stuff that you could never really do in the real world, but we always wanted to make it feel like it still had a sense of presence, and it still feels like this is a real place that could exist if someone just had millions of dollars that they wanted to build their own private mini golf course.
It really strides that line of like, it feels like impossible to be real, but also like could be. Like somehow it like does both of those things.
Yeah. Actually, and a lot of that is in.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, and a lot of that is in environment design. It's thinking like, oh, how do rocks break down when they're, as they erode? How do different landscapes form? How would someone actually use this space? Obviously, it's fantastical, but we do spend I know on one of the most recent courses, what was it, Laser Layer? We even went in and it was like, you know what, something just doesn't feel right, and it was like power outlets. Just putting power outlets and putting cords to plug a few things in made it feel like, oh, now it actually feels like an actual functional space. Little details like that go a long ways.
I had a question about, so you press a button and you can go into like big mode and you can see the miniature course. Was that always part of it, or was that something you added? Because that feature is so cool.
I wanted
Not
it
only is it really
game.
cool, but the fact that I can watch the miniature versions playing is incredible. So is that always part of it, or did you add that later?
That was one thing that was part of that initial launch. That was just like, while creating the courses, it's so cool to be able to see everything in VR when you're in that different scale. So knew from the pretty much beginning that, that's a cool way of doing it. And you need to do something for the menu anyways. So in VR, like use the space that you've already built. Don't try to build up some weird custom void or something like that for your main menu options. Just, go big.
The Laser Layer course. So I'm curious, because were you a part of the team? Like, were you with Mighty Coconut when they did the first game, Laser Maze or Laser Mazer, in 2018?
Yeah, so that was also me and Colin Jimenez was one other person. So I'm actually the founder of Mighty Coconut.
Okay, that's what I. All right.
Yeah.
Great. Because Tom and I were at Indiecade and we played that back in 2018. And then I saw Laser Layer and I'm like, well, he did Spies in Disguise. And here's this spy level, and it's a laser level. Like, was that partially an inspiration for both of those things?
Yes, definitely. I just love spy stuff. And in fact, the lasers and the laser sounds in Laser Layer were just ripped straight out of Laser Mazer. So
awesome.
Yeah. So totally just sort of like ripping ourselves off on that one. But I also knew, it's funny because when I pitched the idea to a couple of the other people, they're like, really? Lasers and mini golf? Like, trust me, lasers is fun. Just more lasers, you will, like. And
is that your favorite one? Favorite course that you have? Do you have a favorite?
It's tough because I end up spending so much time on whatever. I'm usually at the very, very beginning and the very, very end. So whatever course has just come out, by the time it comes out, I'm usually sick to death of that one just because it's been like an intensive sprint to get that one over the line usually. But yeah, I think that Laser Layer is definitely one. I think that it has some really fun, interesting gameplay that the lasers, just that mechanic allowed for. And yeah, it is a lot of fun to just we try to, whenever we do something like that, where we do something different with the the mechanics, we like to go back to something that's a bit more traditional, just because a lot of people do like to hang out and just, again, mini golf people aren't entirely there for mini golf. They're there to hang out with people. And so sometimes you want something that's not just that. You don't want every course to be a head scratcher. So,
Sure.
But yeah, I think Laser Lair is way up there. So
for Upside Downtown, who came up with that idea and the fact that like when the ball goes on the ceiling, you're playing it still like as if gravity for yourself is real, and it's where other video games would have you probably get the perspective as if you were on the ceiling. So to have the course where you're hitting it like this instead of, traditionally is a pretty, I think, unique idea. I don't know that I've seen that before.
I think that we played a couple. In fact, I even see that you had the putter from Upside Down there. So, I mean, that was a group effort. It came early on. I did do a fair number of the designs. Like, that's one of those that I love those courses where when we've got a new mechanic, it's a mechanic that's fairly simple, but you can lean into it and do a lot of like interesting stuff with that one mechanic. Like some of my favorite puzzle games are very much like that. It's just like take something simple and then just like build on it, add one little twist, and then build on that. Like Portal is a classic example of just like such a simple idea, but it takes it to just like ridiculous heights. And I felt like that was sort of what we were trying to do with Upside Down. But yeah, there was something that we found that was really fun. There was also something that we tried orienting, and it definitely changes the feel of the course. There's also something that's very unnerving, and you tend to lose your sense of space when you're flipping. You could do it where you would warp to your ball, but there's just also something about seeing light coming in from down below you that has this weird, like, it's not a pleasant sensation, I would want to say, almost. And it's something that I think in a regular game, a pancake game, no problem, but in VR it definitely is more unnerving, and you kind of lose that sense of, we call it the walkaboutness, that sense of like, oh, everything progresses from one hole to the next and you can see that path. So
cool.
So yeah, we played around with it early on, but it's still something that we might do like a mode at some point down the road. But yeah, that was the plan from the beginning.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, because you guys announced an iOS game, and obviously you did Laser Maze, so that was an AR game. So you're going back to that now with this, and it said it's compatible with the VR, so it's crossplay. Is it like? Is that coming out this year soon?
So we actually thought that we were going to have it done by summer, and then beta testing just showed that we've got a lot more. We're coming to iOS only for now. And the thing is that because you played Laser Mazer, you remember the mechanic of that, where you actually like are physically moving around your space.
Yes.
With the iOS game, I'm actually holding my phone. Here, I'll imagine I'm holding my phone with my other hand, but you're looking at your phone, and then you actually physically putt. And so you can hold it up, you can look around, and it works really well. It's got basically the phone, we're using ARKit under the hood for full 6-off tracking, so you can actually walk around your space and like never warp anywhere if you had a big space, and you would totally just like play the course much like Laser Mazer was. But yeah, it was just a simpler mechanic, and one of the things that we learned from Laser Mazer was that it had I won't go too deep into it because I know a lot of people haven't played it, but it has a locking mechanic so that you could walk to the end of your room, and if you're on a space, you just hold the lock button, turn around, keep going. Still, though, when you were playing in a smaller space, it tended to lose that sense of like physicality, just because you were constantly having to like hold that lock button and think about it just a little bit. So Walkabout actually started as a phone game, so it was working fully in that mode even before it started, and then it was actually the Indiecade after you guys were there and saw Laser Mazer. That's when I had it, and I was like, the Quest 1 had just come out, so I got it running really quick because it was already a mobile game, so it was already optimized. Showed it to the Oculus folks, and then they were like, yeah, finish it up and bring it over, basically. So that was, literally all that kind of came out through that one Indiecade where you guys played it for the first time.
Because this game actually even has a little bit of that, where you have to walk. Because when you go into the diorama mode and you're big, you can't fly. So like, luckily, like I play in my garage so that I could have like a really big space. So whenever I want to mess with these guys and get huge, I'll like walk to one side of the garage first, then I'll get huge. So then I can get as
Then you can greet
close
them.
into the map
Yeah.
as you can. Have you guys thought about letting us fly around with our giant heads, or is that just too obnoxious, you think, for other people? Is that going to be...
You know, I guess it's possible. I think that we've kind of tried to keep things from going too crazy with that we call it God mode. Just because at that point you're so big, we have to optimize like everything to an inch of its life because you're seeing the entire course at once.
Okay, sure.
So part of
I
it
didn't
is also
consider
that. And because we're focusing on so many different headsets, like we always have to get it to run on some of the lower spec hardware. So PSVR 2 doesn't have an issue running all those things, but there's a lot of headsets out there that do that we're just constantly, just optimizing.
With so you guys have a lot of courses, and some of them are obviously like original creations, but then also like you have like Labyrinth and all of these, you know, Mist, like other IPs. Is that you guys like being like, what would be good for us to adapt? Let's go try and get this license so we can make this. I mean, I don't like. I'm assuming like the Jules Verne stuff might be public domain at this point, but like, how does that work? And then simultaneously, do you have people reaching out to you? Because we talk about all the time, like, oh my god, like, what if there was a Marvel level or a Zelda level? We talk about like Hyrule. Like, do you like what is the potential that you think there is for like even bigger IPs? And do you have people reaching out to you about that stuff?
So it goes both ways. We've reached out to some people reach out to us. I think that for us, the big thing, at least we are starting to think about some, you know, doing some partnerships. Like we did the Fox Hunt with Alon Lee, the Exploding Kittens creator, and he did that extra Fox Hunt for Laser Lair. So we are thinking about some smaller things, but when it's a course, so much of it comes down to we generally need sort of an environment. We need a world that you want to go to. So that's usually one of the number one things that we're looking for. But then as far, I mean, I would absolutely love to do some of those bigger, you know, Marvel, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. Like there's so, you know, there's so many of those huge IPs that we've absolutely talked about. It's just, I will say that right now in the VR space, it's tough just because all of the VR market is such a teeny tiny fraction of the overall gaming market. And because these are also add-ons, it's not like it's a whole game. Like if we were going to do a dedicated game that was going to be a walkabout, you know, whatever, that would probably be more possible for one of those really, really big IPs. But part of us also wants to make sure that it's really nice to keep it all in one thing you know, we'll keep adding to it, because then you don't have to worry, are you on Walkabout 1 or Walkabout 2 or Walkabout, you know, whatever. But yeah, and just having dealt with a lot of those, because like you mentioned, I come from the film world, so just having dealt with some of those big IPs and everything, it's a very different process, and I absolutely feel like we're about ready to make a bigger move like that. But yeah, it's still it's definitely just a different thing that we've done, and so many of the partners that we've done so far, so especially like Labyrinth, Mist, and Meow Wolf coming out next. All of those are independent. Jim Henson was independent. The Cyan guys are all still just sort of like independently owned, and it's so much easier to work with folks like that, because you can. It was actually the conversation with. The conversation with the folks at Cyan was honestly one of the best meetings I've ever had when we first pitched it, because it was sort of like we were kind of doing introductions, and they're just sort of like, "As hi, yes, and the answer is yes." Like within the first 30 seconds, because they had been playing the game, and I grew up with Myst, so that was just sort of like the best situation. So
that's awesome.
Anyways, we love licensing. We want to do more of them, but it's also fun to do some original stuff as well. So we just like to keep that mix.
That's awesome. We're a big fan of just like how the game feels like an older game. Like, I mean, all the DLC is just maps, and like I'm so happy to be like, like $3, $4, like $5 a map. Like, absolutely, it's amazing. Like, you guys like seeing that you're not stuck having to do like season passes or microtransactions for everything so far. At least, like, it's awesome. Even though we keep talking about like, but if they did come out with a way to like buy like cosmetics, we're like, I'd probably do that immediately. I would buy anything in this game right now.
I had a quick. So we play. You know, we've been playing a lot, right? So we whenever we play, we're always trying to figure out, is there a way to get a hole in one, right? And my question is, do you design the hole with an idea towards what could be a hole-in-one, or do you specifically design it so that it's almost impossible to get a hole-in-one? Like, are there some holes you say, like, yeah, let's give them a hole-in-one chance, and some holes you say, nah?
I would say that probably about half the holes are like reasonably hole-in-oneable. Like, you look at it and you're like, okay, if I bounce, maybe you have to bounce twice off of something. Like, it feels like, okay, there's a path here. Probably the other half of them are ones that the community comes up with some crazy trick shots where they're looking at rocks like this, and that rock angles up. If I just hit it backwards, then now I'm airborne and I can do whatever I want. So that was actually even something that the original game didn't have collisions on every single object, and it took a little while for us to optimize everything to the point that now literally, like, I can bounce off of any single thing that I want basically, and just it'll all keep every single thing is collidable. But that was something that was added probably about a year after launch. We just went back in and added colliders to everything because people were starting to do those trick shots and realizing that was sort of a mini game in and of itself.
Except player balls, which we really like as a decision. Was that like a hardware limitation, or did you say like, oh, people are going to be frustrated already, just like they sometimes get when they play mini golf, so I don't want people screwing each other over by knocking their balls out of the way?
Honestly, it kind of started as a bit of frankly a bit of a tech thing, because we're running physics in a very specific way, and getting physics collisions in real time and knowing what all can interact, it's a bit of a nightmare. Yeah. But it also, I do kind of like that you can play your game, and again, we're doing, even the fact that you can swing through, the putter can go right through a rock. You don't have to worry about that. Let's just kind of use the medium and kind of, It's funny because even when I go to play real mini golf, when the putter doesn't automatically, like change height.
They're changing height is so clutch.
Yeah.
Why is the physics
of this world like this?
You bounce off the rug or off the carpet, and it's like, why isn't it working?
Have you been like, because you've been making this game, has it like pushed you to be like, I need to go play mini golf more to like understand like how to do level design or anything? Like the fact that you just even are like doing mini golf. Are you playing mini golf?
Or are you just so overloaded with mini golf that you're just like, I don't want to play in real life?
There's a lot of mini golf in my life right now. I think probably more than just about anyone in the world. I'm probably it's up there. I bet I'm in the top 10 folks of people just like living mini golf at the moment. But we've been to some, and we'll absolutely, like, I'll take the kids out sometime if we're ever on vacation. We've done a couple of just like meetups with like our crew because we're a hybrid studio, mostly remote. But if folks come into town, like every once in a while, we've done it a couple of times where we'll go to like Peter Pan here in Austin or something. So it's I definitely feel like we've kind of used that real life mini golf as a springboard. But in some ways, I kind of like that we don't have some of the restrictions. Like every time you go to a real life mini golf place, just like, there's rocks on the ground, or there's little leaves that you got to clear out of the way, or there's little dings and all that sort of stuff. Maybe the ball doesn't quite bounce off. So I kind of feel like VR in some ways is almost like the ideal way to do it, just because it's sort of like sands off, You don't have to worry that someone spilled a Coke there and all of a sudden there's a sticky spot, although that's a good course idea I want to steal. So, maybe that'll
1,000%. It's awesome. I mean, it's also, like perfect every single time we come in.
Even including the price of the headset, it's cheaper with the amount of games of mini golf I've played at this point than it would be to go in. I would spend a lot more money playing real mini golf at this point, even including... So I know you guys are going to announce at some point at the end of the year 2024 roadmap, I think you said. So you might not be able to answer this, but I'm curious because you have so many maps now. I mean, it's, especially if you include the hard modes. I think there's 44 like playable courses, I think.
Oh yeah, we're 22 right now.
Yeah. So have you thought about doing any kind of a like world tour mode where like you pick 3 different maps and then it like you do like 6 or 3 holes here if you're doing like a 9 and then it goes to the next map? Have you ever thought about doing like a thing where you rotate between courses?
A lot. So that's one that several people have asked for. I can't say for certain what's going to happen because frankly we've kind of spent the last couple of years. We've obviously been adding a lot of stuff to it, as well as like laser layer new mechanics. Meow Wolf's going to have a lot going on in it. I feel like we're just now getting to the point where, because this was largely a solo developed game, we've kind of spent the last couple of years paying off the tech debt, where I just did a bunch of if statements. Like, the code was just really freaking ugly under the hood. And now that we've got a larger team, we really had to refactor a lot of stuff. We had to build things. So we're just now getting to the point where it's going to be possible really soon for us to kind of start like doing more interesting things, because before it was like literally hard coded, like every course had to have 18 holes, and it was just a very like ironclad thing. But now that we've sort of like programmed things in a more flexible way, we can start doing more with other game modes and other ways of playing, and possibly something like stitching some different courses together to give you a best of. But yeah, so like that's on the list of things we'd like to try basically.
We're in your feedback requests on the Discord, where everyone's always wants like a way to organize the balls. Although it is fun, like having like almost 400 balls like just bouncing around in there every time the new balls come in, and just start filling it up even farther.
Yeah, we joke that when everyone's asking for the asking for a way to sort them, and all we're going to do is just give them pinball flippers, and that will be it.
Oh my god. I love that.
What would you say if, since I guess 2020 when you started developing, what would you say is like the most challenging part that you encountered in the last maybe 3 years, 4 years?
I mean, I think that just getting, for me personally, I think a lot of it has been, I've worked with teams before, but games were always sort of like the thing that I kind of started doing mostly on the side, because I liked doing the hands-on stuff. And so I think there was a big learning gap for me, because coming from the animation world, we have a way of doing things that I think we definitely do things a little different than most other game studios would ever think to do them. But at the same time, I think there was also just a lot of learning that had to be done for me in terms of just like the language of game development. And frankly, we're also self-publishing, so a lot of that has also come up of just sort of like learning how to publish a game alongside, basically a live service game. Essentially,
have you had any? I mean, this game is especially in the world of we've talked about how VR is a niche within gaming, but like this is one of the projects that I think is like consistently showing that like there is a lot of potential in VR. Surely, if you're self-publishing, like have you had people reach out to you about like becoming the publisher for this game? Is that something you'd even want to do?
I mean, I think that
as much as you can talk about that.
I think that we've been able to do a lot of what we do because of our self-publishing, and frankly, a lot of the things that a publisher would add is because normally a game studio only releases one game every 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, and so it's impossible for them to really have that in-house. We've been putting out a new course once every 6 weeks, which is a totally new build. Amazing. There's bug fixes. There's a lot of other just like tech improvements that come alongside a new course, along with all of the, getting the word out, community management, all that sort of stuff. So I think that in some ways, if we had an external publisher, we would probably not be able to move as quickly or as freely, because it's just like, the bigger the boat is, the slower it turns. And we're already at a size now where we're not able to do stuff as nimbly as we used to, but at the same time, there's no way we could be doing the volume of content that we're doing back when we were, just a handful of people. So that's sort of like the trade. And I do think we're at a really happy size right now where we're able to do a lot of stuff, but we're not so big that we can't adapt and we can't sort of like make, needed late in the game changes on stuff.
That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. Like, you're not like this is working out for you, and not like, oh no, we need a publisher because we need to grow and we're not going to be able to get the funds or whatever it may be. Like, it's great to hear like you guys are able to like, this is perfect for you guys. Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, like, yes, this is my first time dealing with something like this in the game space, but coming from the film world, and like I've been dealing with those big studios for, in so many different ways for so long that like nothing against like anyone who kind of works within that system. It is hard, and you spend so much of your time just building consensus and trying to get people on board, and so little of your time actually doing the thing. Like literally like 70% of the time you're pitching, you're selling, you're trying to get it greenlit. You only end up spending a little chunk of time actually making the thing that you're want to be doing. So that's been the nice thing. I think the best thing for me is just being able to get in. We've got an idea, like let's just rip it open and just do it. And that feels so good after having spent literally 10 years in development on a bunch of different feature projects. Just like it's so slow, and it's nice to just get in and just like make something. So
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
With VR and again talking about the size of it within gaming, there's been such a huge promise. I was thinking to myself as I was getting in the elevator coming up to my apartment today, I was like, someone let Mark Zuckerberg know this interview is happening, because he'd love to know that like we're utilizing VR in this way. Do you think that VR is ever going to have its moment where it blows up and it is something that everyone is using for a bunch of different reasons? Or do you think that what VR is today is kind of what it always will be? Like, where do you see the trajectory of that?
I mean, I definitely see, like, as these get lighter and UI gets better, and I mean, like, really the number one thing right now is just friction. Whether it's the battery life or whether it's just, like, we don't have ways of quickly sending each other stuff. We don't have ways of quickly jumping in together. I mean, that was one of the reasons for the room system that we did here is, like, just make it stupid simple. And not have to worry about friending people or worried about, there's so much friction just to getting the headset on, getting people into it, that we just wanted everything to be as frictionless as possible. So I think that once it becomes easier, again, we hop in and we'll do meetings in VR constantly. We do a lot of our design work in Gravity Sketch, and the designers are all spread out across the U.S. We can all meet up in a room and we're literally working on the level at the same time, which is something that you can't even do like in a regular, like you can't even do that in Blender or Maya or Max or anything. So it's so amazing what you can do with it. So I think that it's absolutely going to reach that point. It feels like there's so many steps written here and there. I don't know what form it's going to take. When that arrives, but I think it's also going to be just like it's going to slowly build, and it's going to be it's going to ebb and flow. But I do think that it's going to get there, and that this is going to become one of the main ways that people are. You won't have screens in your house anymore.
This game does something that this to me is the VR game that needs to be played. It's the first VR game I've played, and I bought like a lot of the PlayStation VR games when this came out, the PSVR 2. This is the first game where I'm like, you have to play this game. I mean, Alex wasn't planning on getting the PSVR 2. He had an Oculus 1, and when I found out that it was cross-compatible, I knew that if I got him to play one match with me, that was it. And he did, and then he went out and bought a PSVR 2 2 days later just for this game.
He didn't buy one. I gifted him one. Him one, remember?
Yeah, I had to lie to my wife about buying this.
We need to send this to Sony and to Meta, because we've anecdotally heard stories like that, but no one would ever think like, oh yeah, the mini golf is like system sellers. Like, no, really?
I have a friend who works on one course. I played one course with Chris, and I said, I'm selling this Oculus One and getting a PSVR 2 because I wanted to play more of the courses because it didn't support it on the first one. Yeah. So I went out, I bought it, and I have this story where I tried to get it through the window well in my basement because I didn't want my wife to know that I had purchased this thing. And I only have this for this game. I only have my PSVR 2 for Walkabout Mini Golf.
So we still haven't played a single
I have not played any other game. And it's just the best VR game I've ever played. I mean,
I've got
still
almost
say it's the
100
best
hours
game I've
in
played all year. Huh?
I've got almost 100 hours in this already, and I still feel like I'm scratching the surface because we're playing hard courses, and I'm like, oh, we haven't even played the full 18 here yet. Like, I still haven't even seen, like, we went in, we did the fox hunts, but we didn't actually play all the courses yet, when we were collecting the clubs. It's just, this is like, to me, this is like Wii Sports for the Wii. Like, this is like if you have a VR headset,
you have to get this
game. You have to play this game.
Yep.
My friend who works he was doing contract work for Oculus. He didn't work there like permanently, but he hadn't checked this out. And I was like, you haven't done it yet? And he was like, oh, well, it's mini golf. Like, I don't know if I really... I was like, go download it. And he got in, and within 5 minutes, he was like, oh, my God. He was like, I see. He was like, I get it immediately. He was like, I get it. And then he started playing it. He's like, it does everything you would want it to do, and all of these other things that you didn't think of. It's so good. Everything is so precise and so clever, and it's one of the few games that I'm not running into a problem where I'm like, oh, the game screwed up, like the game glitched, and especially in VR where you kind of expect a little bit of jankiness. This is like one of the smoothest games that I've played this year, like by far. It's pretty incredible. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, a lot of time was spent really nailing it. I think that there's something about that. People have talked about it, like the one-to-one movement in VR is so important because, yes, you think like, I want to do all these impossible things, and yes, you do, but there's something that's so satisfying about being able to do something with your body. Like, I remember getting the CV1 and not having the hand-tracked controllers, and when the controllers first came out, I was like, that seems kind of gimmicky. Like, I don't think that's really going to add anything. And I kind of fought it for a little while until you get in there and it's like, oh my God, this is half the experience. Like, just being able to physically interact with your hands is like, it literally is half of the experience. So yeah, a lot of those things that I think that even I was skeptical about, that I just wish that there was a better way to get people to try and experience some of those things, because a lot of people are still like, oh yeah, I tried VR. And when they say that, they meant like, oh, it's one of the phones that clipped into the headset that was like off, that was like from 10 years ago or something like that. And there's still a lot of that. I wish that I just wish that like there was an easy way for everyone to try it out and
Nintendo Labo.
Get a sense.
Just become friends with Chris, and he'll badger you until you buy one, and then you go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I did not. The second this game came out on PlayStation in May, till today, there hasn't been an episode of this podcast where I have not talked about this game. Which is just like every week I'm like, I have something new to talk about with this game. It's pretty incredible, and I'm glad to hear that the iOS version is what we kind of guessed it might be, and not like a mixed reality thing, because I'm hoping that means that you're not doing a mixed reality thing for the Quest, because if you do, then I'm going to have to go buy a Quest just so I can play whatever mixed reality thing comes out in this, because that is the one thing that the PlayStation doesn't have on their VR. It's like, because it's it's the black and white pass through. But
I'm really curious to see where mixed reality goes, and I feel like there's absolutely some really cool like uses of that. It feels like it's so nascent right now that it's going to take some time to really figure out what exactly like everyone's going to be using mixed reality for. But it is super, super cool. So
being able to do a mixed reality version of this game, or like map that take advantage of that, is very cool to think about.
Oh yeah,
And I have some questions from the audience here before. I don't know.
Yeah,
what
we've
time
already taken up, I think, a bit more of your time than planned. But
I can probably do about 10 more minutes, and then I'm gonna have to check in on the kids.
Awesome.
These are real quick from Slater in the chat. We have, what's the biggest limitation VR hardware has imposed on development thus far, perhaps other than putting more assets on a level?
I mean, it's funny. The whole time I was like, "Oh, assets!" Just like the amount of polygons you can render. Just the fact that you got to do everything at 90 frames per second on what is essentially mobile phone hardware is definitely the biggest one. I would say that a lot of something about being in VR. A lot of times, it's so physical that a lot of times you think like, oh, this is totally going to work, because in any other game it would work. But you don't realize that when you're actually standing there doing it, it doesn't feel good, or it doesn't quite have I think that even the counterexample to that is Upside Down, which there were also some people who really when we released that one and people were putting on the ceiling and on the walls, there was some that was the most hate that we've ever gotten in a single day.
Really? We're just laughing the whole time. We think it's the funniest thing in the world.
It's the funniest thing in the world. I loved it.
When Alice is like, at the wall, and his club is like 2 inches long. It's so
It's
funny.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I think that a lot of there were so many folks who had been playing, and we had never done anything like that. And I think we did something like that, and it was just sort of like people weren't ready for us to go that weird with it, I think. But it is one of those things that I think that's maybe kind of like the counterexample to that, where certain things that are in VR, like just the fact that like we have to make sure that you've got room to stand physically. That you know, some things that if you were doing any other golf game, you would never worry about what happens when the ball goes under that little thing. It's like, oh no, we just can't. There's a lot of those things that you just have to treat it as if you were designing a real life place. Is probably one of the other big things of just the fact that it's VR.
Slater's other question: what's your McDonald's order?
Ooh.
If you go.
If you
Go to McDonald's.
/ favorite fast food place if you're not a McDonald's fan.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in Austin, so down here we've got Whataburger.
Whataburger,
It's probably the thing.
dude. Yes,
So, yeah.
I love Whataburger.
That's probably the I'd probably go Whataburger is probably the one that we go to most down here.
Someone's visiting Texas for the first time. They're having their first Whataburger. What should their go-to be? What should they go for first? To get the experience?
I don't even know. I mean, if you're coming to Texas, get barbecue. I think that's the first thing. Like,
don't go to Whataburger.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I mean, not it's great and all, but like, no, go. Yeah. There's like, I would almost say that barbecue is more like our fast food down here, because if you're almost paying the same thing. Like, yeah, you could get brisket for like $1 more, so just do that. I'm gonna be really bougie and say that.
Huh?
But it's not bougie. It's very affordable down there. They just get a cow for like 5 cents. Great. No, the brisket in Austin is. I mean, the barbecue in general is fantastic.
Yeah.
Those are all the audience questions. Do you guys have any other last-minute things?
What are the chances for multiplayer for a sort of like vote to end match option or something like that? Because right now we have a lot of stupid fingers, which is what I like to call them, where we'll open up a level and then we'll hit the wrong thing. Because we used to always play full 18s, and now we do the 9s. Because what's nice with the 9s is you screw up, and then it's not as big of a deal, right? You're not like, oh, I'm off for the rest of the match. So then,
if you're playing with a big group, like 18 holes with a group of 4 or 5 or even more, that can be a full hour. You know, especially if people aren't great at the game, I would say as well. So but no, we no promises on when something like that will come out, but we have it on the roadmap to add. We need to add some architecture for an actual voting system. But once we have like a voting system in place, there's a lot that we could do. Which it'd be voting to end the match, like even like a mulligan, like someone's controller just like drops on the floor or something, and they hit the ball. Like there's a lot of things that we could do that just needs that. And like I was saying earlier, that's one of those bits of architecture that is just now starting to become possible, that we can, more quickly iterate and come up with those things that we're not just having to bolt it into a really kind of kludgy system.
Oh, so you could even then do different game modes where like you could play a tally system for courses, right? Like instead of, let's say you're playing 9 holes, whoever wins on the hole gets a point, kind of a thing, instead of playing for overall score.
Like match scoring is absolutely something that we've talked about as well. Yeah, match scoring, because if you have one bad hole, or like if you just like can't get this one tee shot right, it could like wreck your round. So yeah, match scoring is high up there. There's been a lot of requests for, I think speed running would be super fun. There's a group right now so we actually changed it so when you go into practice mode right now, it used to just after you completed a hole, it would kick you back to God mode. We made it so it auto-advanced to the next hole just because there's a group of people that do speed running, but they just use the practice mode because then they can still start at the same time and go together. So like that was like one of our little hacks that we couldn't quickly support it in an easy way, but that was at least a way that we can give them something that would work a lot better. So
that's cool.
Something I talk about is like, because this is a game that you're basically playing yourself. Like I'll sometimes play alone. I'll just put on a podcast in one ear and then I'll just play. if there was something like ghost data, like racing games, so that because I can see obviously what my best overall score on a course is.
Yep.
But what's the feasibility of there? Because this is probably a major technical hurdle of like how racing games save your ghost data. What is the feasibility of a course saving your ghost data so that I could play against the best version of myself, so I could actually see what I did when I got that best score and then play against them?
Yeah. That would be super cool. We've definitely talked. I mean, because essentially that's what we're doing with the instant replay. Is basically
right. So we're saving the instant replays then, I guess.
Yeah, it would just be having to save all those and string them together. So again, all these things, no promises that any of these things are coming, but
yeah,
we're absolutely sort of like we're on the exact same page, because I agree that being able to play against yourself, or even being able to play like you play a round, and then, you know, if you weren't able to actually get in there with him, but he could send you his round.
Just asymmetrically?
Yeah, like asymmetric would be super fun, too.
That's like Super Stickman Golf on the phone. That was one of my favorite
but that's
iOS
so cool to send you my best round.
That would be so cool.
That
would be awesome.
That's really cool.
Whenever we talk about this,
it's like literally the people with the person with the top score, like you could actually like play against them to see how.
That is really
because if you haven't gotten in, have you guys gotten in with any of like the Discord players or any of like the pro players at all?
Not yet.
We're too afraid.
I'm still garbage. I'm garbage right now.
Like you said, that it's hop onto a game on the Discord, just like even one of the scheduled games or whatever, because just seeing how some of those people play a hole, like it's not like
Quick Match has been good for that.
Yeah, it's great for that. Quick Match, you never know quite who you're going to get matched up with.
True.
But on the Discord, so many of the pros hang out there that
interesting.
You can like they'll even talk like, oh, hit this spot right here at like a medium speed, and your ball will just like bounce into the hole. Like they've got so many things just dialed in. And again,
amazing.
like you said, it's not like you're playing against yourself. So people have been really nice about just showing what they're doing, and if you play with someone, you're gonna see what they do anyway. So it's not like it's a trade secret or something like that. So, but yeah, check that out, because it's super fun to see how people do that. If you want to, or you do that and don't tell all of them, and then you can just like smoke them the next time.
Not me. I'm
that's what I told my friend. I said just go into Quick Match, because when I first started, I did Quick Match, and people would show me like as I'm going through the course, they would be like, "Oh, do this, do this, do this," and I was learning much faster how to get through the course and like what kind of stuff to do. But the game so far, from what I've seen, is one of the like more positive communities that I've ever played in. I haven't run into any problems here. Everyone's been really nice, because everyone just wants to play mini golf. It's great.
Yeah, it's even if you just look at the area that we're standing in, like it's not exactly super aggro sort of vibe that we're going for.
One of the first times we actually played, my girlfriend she loved the kayak VR game, and I put her. She played actually against Christian's partner, and they did Zen Garden on the first courses. Is that what I don't know the name of it? The one with
Cherry Blossom, probably.
And she just decided to sit under the waterfall for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, they both just went over the waterfall and stopped playing.
So funny. So funny. On a scale of 1 to 10, Lucas.
A lot of times we'll do that as well, and we'll just like if I'm playing one-on-one, like we'll do our one-on-ones in there, and then at the end of the match, it's like, oh, we're not gonna we don't have time to play another one, but let's just like hang out and chat. I mean, just like we're doing, like we're not playing the game, but just the fact that we can see each other. It's better than being on a Zoom call, I would say 90% of the time.
100%.
Yeah. So
I'm trying to think of a way we can do this for every episode of the podcast.
Hey, just hop in. You're welcome to
hop in.
So, yeah,
cool. This was great.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, yeah.
This is the best
Cheers.
thing I've ever done.
Yeah, you too. Have a great weekend.
All right. There he goes.
There he goes.
Amazing.
Tuna, why don't you come on
that
back
was
in?
the best thing we've ever done. Holy shit.
That was awesome.
100%.
I loved
That was
it.
amazing.
I loved it. That was great. It was a little bit like when we had E3 and we would get like the devs. That was always so much fun. Maybe we should try and do more of that. Try and get more guests on. That was very fun. See what games we can do. See what games we can do the interviews in the games.
In the game.
That would be very cool.
That's amazing. Noah Reno booted up the game and was playing while listening to this.
Perfect.
Amazing. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Noah and Slater. They really enjoyed that, and I'm glad to know that everything worked and that we're still rocking and rolling.
We're gonna play some horse. Let's do that for our post show. So let's end the show, and then in the post show we're just gonna chat and play horse. So
Okay.
Thank you once again, everybody, for listening. It's been 400 episodes. Here's to 400 more, which will only get us 200 away from the total of Pokemon. And until next time, everybody, stay unranked.
Suck it! I really can suck it in this game.